11 years ago, I had my first baby, and what I did wrong was I tuned into every single sensation. I got so excited about having my first baby and entering my first birth experience that the moment that I even felt crampy, like a period cramp, I tuned in. I was just like so in my body. It took like 2 days to have the baby. It was so exhausting. And what I've learned since that point is that a far better birth strategy is doing what I'm going to try to be doing through this video, which is just keeping calm, carrying on, staying busy, doing chores, putting my hands to work so that my mind won't grow busy with anxiety and worry. And through this day of just a slow progression, really, of having my 6th baby, I don't even really think I'm going into labor this day. I've had a lot of prodromal labor, which is just, you know, your body kind of kicking up and slowly dilating over time. I had cramps the night before and even the night before that. And I share all of that, the full birth story, here on the channel. But today is going to be a bit more of just like showing you how I am trying to stay busy. I don't even know that, like I said, I'm going to have the baby this day. I really think that I'm just going to make sugar cookies. I really think I'm just going to make cinnamon rolls, because at this point we're 12 days out from Christmas and my due date is the 22nd. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make as much as I can today, just stay on my feet. But in the back of my head, there is that possibility that I could go into labor today. But when I'm making this video, I just thought I was gonna make like a bake with me video. I needed to go ahead and prep a bunch of stuff for Christmas anyways. I really was taken aback that I had my baby on this day, because I feel so good at this point. I'm just making my coffee. I'm just prepping to like go deep in the kitchen and do a bunch of just deep work. Like, you know, it feels so good when your mind kind of gets lost in a project, whether it's painting or baking or something like that. And I'm tweaking with the recipe ever so slightly. So I really was shocked that by 7:15 tonight, I am pushing my 6th baby out. All right, so come with me today. I'm gonna do some baking, some Christmas baking. We're gonna make some Christmas cookies. I'm gonna start on some cinnamon rolls that I might have to finish up tomorrow. And these sugar cookies are from my mother-in-law. It's her recipe that she uses and we absolutely love it. It's almost more bready. I'm gonna tinker with some of my recipes too. I'm thinking about grinding a little bit of flour and mixing it with like regular white flour and seeing how that comes out. Possibly adding some potatoes. This sounds berserk, right? Some potatoes to cinnamon roll dough, because I've heard it makes it softer. So we're just gonna tinker around a little bit with some Christmas baking recipes. I'm gonna share with you what I find out. So I'm 38 weeks pregnant and I actually started having contractions 2 days ago, and the past 2 nights I've had like prodromal labor. So I'm not really having a contraction unless I lean over. If I lean over, it's like instant contraction. So this is my 6th baby, so I'm not super worried about it, and I do home birth, so I don't really have anywhere to go. So just gonna do some Christmas baking and we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that labor holds off for a day or two. That's kind of like my hope, but we'll see. So let's bake together. In this recipe, it calls for, in this sugar cookie recipe, it calls for sour cream, which sounds so strange. My mother-in-law usually uses Greek yogurt. You can use either one. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference. I had to finish up today. I'm getting a contraction right now. I had to finish up a little bit of, I didn't have quite a cup of the sour cream, so I used some Greek yogurt. But last time it came out really crumbly at first, and then I added like 1 more teaspoon of the sour cream and it kind of came together. So that's what I'm hoping happens. So one thing that we did on this birth was we didn't find out the gender. I've only done that one other time. For my 2nd baby, I decided not to find out, and it was a baby boy. So at this point we have 3 girls and 2 boys, and so it was very, very fun to just wait till the very end to find out if he was a boy or if she was a girl. So at this point I have no idea what I'm gonna be having, but I'm not even thinking about it. And I talked about it before, but my mother-in-law's sugar cookie recipe, it really is so good. It's like nice and bready, and I really prefer that instead of like an overly sweet sugar cookie, because when you go to add like the glaze or the stuff on top, it's nice if that can add the sweetness. I want to share my backstory of how in the world did I come to have 6 natural births. How did I go from somebody who literally just wanted to be knocked out and cut open to somebody who believed birth birth is natural and normal. And how did I make that progression? So I took a last minute elective class in my master's program at the University of Tennessee. I was getting my master's in sports psychology because I wanted to be a head softball coach for college, and you've got to have your master's for that. So I was getting my master's, and it was my last semester. I was engaged to be married, and I just thought, hey, maternal childhood nutrition sounds great. I'll ask for special permission to take this class. I get in the class, and unbeknownst to me, the professor was so adamant that her students really walked away with an understanding that birth was natural and normal, like a natural thing. That 95% of the time, birth doesn't even need any interventions at all. Really, the best thing you can do is to support a woman and really leave her alone to do the things she needs to do, to educate her. I mean, back in the day, women would have probably attended another birth and been a helper, and so they would have probably seen birth. And so it was just really important to her that we walked away with the understanding that birth wasn't something we necessarily had to be afraid of. And that was just a whole paradigm shift for me. She had us watch The Business of Being Born. In that documentary, you see a couple of different women give birth, and that was just absolutely mind-blowing for me. It changed my whole worldview of birth, my whole philosophy of birth. But then 2 years later, when I was about to have my first baby, it was kind of like rubber meets the road. Like, am I going to do this? Am I going to walk out what I believe? So I found a birth center in LA because we were living in Los Angeles at the time. And she was great. She was a great midwife. It was a good birth center. But what I really didn't understand is I needed a doula. I needed somebody there kind of mothering me through the process, because I tuned in to every sensation way too early. And like I said, that led to a very long labor. And a hard one, because I just didn't know that what I really needed to do was stay busy. So at this point, I have already prepped as much as I can for Christmas. I started prepping in October, November, so that I could really just enjoy the Advent season. So I'm really glad that all the kids' presents are wrapped at this point. The only thing I hadn't fully done was get their stockings together, but I just put Matt in charge of that. And so it was just nice. It was just a nice, like, slow Advent season where I had the bandwidth to just focus on kind of creating a peaceful home and to get my mind ready. But when I started having contractions 2 days before this, I was not prepared for labor. I mean, at this point, I was like 12 days out from my due date. I have never gone that early, and my body started to kick it up. And then I started to panic. I'm like, no. Like, I need to go run errands. I need to get so much stuff. So 2 nights in a row, I slept with a heating pad on. I took some melatonin. I did a bath with salts, and everything calmed down at that point. I just mentally didn't feel ready. Now I have everything I needed. Like, I needed to get a couple things left in my birth kit. Got that. I needed to get some food. I needed to just prep a little bit. So I'm feeling just completely ready at this point, which is just a really nice feeling. I think that's really important for the hormones when it comes to just going into labor, is feeling like you're supported, you have what you need. Thankfully, I never tell my family to come in town, because I don't want anybody just standing around watching me and waiting like, oh, do you feel a contraction? You know, do you feel this? Do you feel that? That's another thing, is with my first, I needed to get my mom out there because I wanted her to be at the birth. So like the tiniest contraction, I called my mom, I called my sister, they both flew out. So I think in hindsight, if nobody was waiting on me and nobody needed to know, I would have had a lot more freedom to just, go about my business. But I had to tune in because I needed to get people there. And I think that really trips a lot of women up, is feeling like people are sitting around watching her, or feeling like she needs to time things right for her kids. That's just a lot, that's just, it's not allowing us to just rest and relax. Another thing is I had to drive like 45 minutes to get to the birth center. And so obviously I didn't want to have a baby on the side of the road in LA. So what's been really nice about home birth is there's nowhere I have to be. There's no place I have to go. I mean, really the only thing, I'm trying to time is to make sure that the midwife gets here on time. I'll tell you more about that later, because she almost didn't get here. It went so fast. So it was kind of a warm day. The kids played outside a ton, which was nice. And I kind of just got to focus on just being in the kitchen. It was just a really, really nice day. It was a Friday, and in December, Matt was just off on Fridays. And that was another thing, just feeling supported with the kids, that there was just a little bit of help holding back the waters. That really helped me last time. We got past all of our commitments. Another really important thing I think that helps with birth is just feeling like you don't have anything on the calendar, just feeling like all the big appointments are done, and just having the space and the freedom to go into labor. I think that does something to our hormones too, just that concoction. And while I'm feeling nervous, of course, about walking walking through labor. Every single time I feel nervous about that. It's a faith walk every single time. I did feel really excited to meet this baby. And that's kind of the headspace I have to get into every time, is that I would literally do anything for any of my kids, and just remembering that this baby is one of my children. And of course I would do anything for them. So a lot of times I like to look at pictures of them as a newborn, and that just really keys my mind into, oh my goodness, I bet this baby looks a lot like that baby. And that's what's inside of me. You know, it's trying to connect as much as I can that there's a real little person inside of me. And I'm not just going through the discomfort of labor just because I'm going through labor for this little person who is also trying to be born. My body's trying to birth a baby and my baby's trying to be born. So as much as I can, just partnering with my body and my baby, and not trying to, you know, resist my body. For so many of my labors, especially the first like 2, I was really running from it. I was running from the pain. I was running from the discomfort. I had this notion, I don't know, perhaps because I didn't know a lot, but also I feel like I kind of was taught that in hypnobirthing, that if you just stayed relaxed enough, that you could be comfortable through birth. And what I personally feel like for me is that it's far more important to run into the heart of the discomfort, to embrace the discomfort, to embrace any kind of pain. You're in it far less time, instead of just trying to keep comfort the whole time. And that feels like a really big picture for life, truly, is that the times in my life where I'm simply just trying to stay comfortable, I'm not trying to push myself, I'm not trying to do the hard thing, that usually doesn't lead to the kind of life that I want to live. I mean, that's like something I talk about a lot on this channel, is discipline. I talk a lot about the power to choose. And there's so many moments in motherhood that it's kind of like charging into the storm, that we kind of have to, like on those days we don't want to get out of bed, just choosing to get up and do the hard thing, to wash the dishes, to do the laundry, to deal with that hard conversation we need to have in the bathroom, to deal with, you know, discipline with a child, to do the disciplined things like reading our Bible when we don't want to. But I feel like birth has taught me so much, because when I just run right into the heart of labor and do, instead of trying to run from it, it really feels like it's over before I know it. And I get it. I'm having my 6th, and so generally labors get shorter and shorter and shorter. But my midwife, who I'm really close with, I mean, she's told me about women who are having their 4th, 5th, 6th baby, and they're right there. The head is right there at the exit, and they won't push because they're scared. For all of you who might be pregnant right now or pregnant in the future, it really can just be so freeing to remember that if we just charge right through the middle of it, we'll probably be there far less amount of time. So at this point, it's starting to kick up. Like, I'm starting to really feel like it's real. And there was a video, I had planned to sit down and film a couple of small videos before I had this baby that I wanted to add to my birth course, and things I had learned from my 5th and 6th pregnancy and birth that I wanted to share. And so knowing that I'm about to go into labor, I sit down to film a very, very quick video where I am sharing some nuggets so I don't forget them, and just to add as a bonus to my course. So I'll give you a sneak peek of what I said, but it's about a 15-minute video. Hey Labor Without Fear mamas, I have had so many thoughts I wanted to share, and just things I've been learning through this 6th pregnancy, and I just haven't really sat down to get it all together. And I had planned to go away this weekend to like a local prayer center that's so sweet. I was going to record some extra new videos for the course, but I'm 38 weeks pregnant, and I think I'm going into labor now. And I don't think that I'm gonna get to go away and film those little videos like I hoped. And I wanted to film this while I was still pregnant, because so I'm having contractions right now, which don't think I'm like, Lana, that's amazing, that's so incredible. You know, you have a little bit of time usually before, so everything's kind of ramping up. I've had something called prodromal labor. So when you sometimes have more babies, you might have labor in spurts. So it could just be more prodromal labor, but I wanted to film this just in case. And here are some really important things that I have learned. I wanted to make these separate videos, but this is probably just gonna be like one big bonus shebang video from my 5th birth that I learned, and preparing now for my 6th. And you know, we don't know how birth is gonna go. It's wild, and it's a surrender process and a faith walk every time. And I just wanted to film this because I'm about to walk through this faith walk right alongside you. And just because it's gone well for me 5 times doesn't mean that it's promised to go well again. But what can we do but prepare our heart and our mind, believe that birth is natural and normal, that our baby's trying to be born, our body's trying to birth our babies, to partner with our body and our baby to be born, and try to keep the channel as clear as we can so that it's not getting closed off by fear. Really, surrender is what's gonna allow our body and our baby to do what they're made to do. We have to kind of get out of our own way, if that makes sense. So I'm losing light. And every time I get up in this position where I bend over, I get a contraction. So I'm kind of waiting for it to pass a little. Not sure if I'll go into labor tonight. So sitting down is so uncomfortable, so I'm having to get up. I can't sit down any longer. The chaos that ensued after this point, I could not find the air pump for the birth tub. I couldn't find it. Usually it comes with the birth tub. It didn't come with it this time, which was my bad. I should have checked that. But Matt was really trying to blow up the tub, and it took forever to blow up the tub. So I just start filling up big pots of boiling water, which is really helpful when it comes to filling up a birth tub, because once you fill it up, well, then it can cool down really quick. At this point, I'm just swaying in the kitchen. I went and put on my robe. It's getting so real. The midwife told me that she was on the way, but she lives a good bit away. And so I'm just sitting here thinking the birth tub's not going to get filled up. I'm not going to have any hot water in there, and I may not have a midwife. So I'm having a little bit of slight panic for that reason. This first picture I'm showing you, Matt, is the picture Matt put on the text thread with all of my friends. And it was at 7:15. 2 minutes later, Matt texts everybody, the baby is here, which was just so crazy. My midwife had barely gotten here. You can tell, like, I am, this first picture with my midwife, like, I'm almost traumatized because it just happened so fast. It was like a tsunami wave. I talk a lot more about that in the full birth story that I shared like a week or 2 ago. But I just love my midwife. She is so special to me. I really felt like she mothered me through birth. And it's a boy. I couldn't even believe it. Matt had to say, Lana, check to see what your baby is. And I just put my hand between his legs because I was so tired. And you can just see my midwife is just so full of the spirit, just coaching me right here. Like, we did it. And I always say, like, try to find a really awesome birth team because it makes a big difference to have somebody in your time of need. And it was so fun. The kids got back like right after I finished pushing the placenta out. They came in, and it was fun to introduce Asa to all of my kids. And then my neighbor brought over my 2-year-old like right after this, and I got to show little Corey Asa. So that was so sweet. And it's always such a sweet relief to be done, but I'm so glad that I spent the day just staying busy, because by the time it got to the point where I couldn't ignore it any longer, it was almost already done. So I hope this video has helped convince you that birth is natural and normal, and that getting a good birth team, it really, really does help. I have so many birth videos on this channel. I have a free birth class down below. I have a birth course. And over at girlteachme.com, I also have some resources for birth. And if being an intentional mama is your thing, I hope you'll stay and hit subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.
It's so unnecessary dwelling about the past, 'cause I know that God is good. He led me to where I'm at. Sometimes I feel like giving up, you're giving in, but everything happens for a reason. It won't always be blue skies ahead. Sometimes you might need a helping hand, just like iron sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher.